live stream is about to start.
Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of AEW Dynamite for Wednesday, May 6th, 2026. We have Double or Nothing coming up later this month. Let's see how things progressed towards that show. We opened up with a tribute to the late Ted Turner, who passed away at the age of 87. Tony Schiavone spoke about Turner, talked about the impact of Turner on professional wrestling. Ted Turner, of course, the founder of CNN, very important person in television and definitely an important figure in professional wrestling. He purchased WCW from Jim Crockett Promotions, and then he was there when Hulk Hogan signed with WCW. He gave the green light for Eric Bischoff to put Monday Nitro live every week against Raw, and the rest is history. We also had Sting coming out to the ring to talk about Ted Turner. Sting brought up how in the 90s, people working for Turner wanted
But he wants
WCW to be canceled because it was in the red. But Ted Turner believed in WCW. The billionaire supported it, kept it going, and then Sting thanked another billionaire, Tony Khan, for continuing the tradition of professional wrestling. They did the 10-bell salute. Very classy stuff here to recognize Ted Turner. The only thing, though, is with Sting talking about how the company was in the red and everything, and Turner kept it alive because of money. I get that that's true, but I'm not sure I would just flat out say that. Basically, money is the reason they stayed in business rather than they actually put on a compelling product. He should have at least mentioned that they came back and they were the number one wrestling company in the world for a few years, but he didn't say that. All in all, though, very classy tribute. Rest in peace, Ted Turner.
Burn in hell.
And then we had Jon Moxley versus Juice Robinson in the opening match of Dynamite. Match was fine, but I had no emotional investment in it because I knew damn well Juice Robinson ain't winning shit here. So this match went on about 5 to 10 minutes longer than it needed to be. Juice Robinson's a good wrestler, but if we had a tier list for AEW wrestlers, he's C tier at best. Moxley's obviously S tier. He's a top guy in AEW. So you know that this is just them going out there, having an exhibition match. Juice Robinson putting up the good fight. He even caught Moxley with a haymaker. Did a crossbody. Moxley kicked out. They traded shots. And then Moxley put on the Bulldog. And Juice finally went out. And that was that. It was just a match. It was okay, but I didn't really care about it. Then we had the Death Riders training with Will Ospreay. So Will Ospreay is working with the Death Riders, and Moxley gave him a pep talk saying that Ospreay needs to get his neck and his mind right or he will be done. I do not understand, number one, why Jon Moxley is helping Will Ospreay after trying to end his career, and I don't know why Will Ospreay's not kicking Jon Moxley's ass. The whole thing, I'm not feeling it, and I know they've been doing stuff on Collision, but I do not care about Collision, which is why I'm doing this live stream now as the so-called third hour is going on, which is an hour of Collision. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Next up, we had Dax Harwood versus Orange Cassidy in a double jeopardy match, where if Orange Cassidy won, the conglomeration would get a future tag team title match. But if Dax Harwood won, him, Cash Wheeler, and Tommaso Ciampa would get a future trios title match. Conglomeration have the trios titles, right? I'm not even sure who the champions are at this point. So anyways, a ton of people were at ringside. It was basically like a lumberjack match. You had Ciampa out there, you had the Dogs out there, you had Rocky Romero and Trent. Then you had the Young Bucks and Copeland, Christian Cage. They were all out there. You had Dax targeting the arm of Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy had gone for an orange punch but missed and hit the post. And then after the break, Dax was mocking the Orange Cassidy kicks. Orange put his hands in his pockets, and then Stokely provided a distraction. David Finlay took a cheap shot. OC kicked out, though, and then things got heated on the outside with everybody. And then Dax attempted to use the ring bell, but OC got him with a Slumdog Millionaire, the stunner. And then he had another orange punch, but Dax kicked out. And then Dax attempted a submission, but Orange countered it, got the 1-2-3 victory. So Conglomeration will get a future tag team title opportunity, but will it be before Double or Nothing? And if we get new champions at Double or Nothing, will that tag title match still be honored? After the match, everybody started brawling, and the bottom tier guys, the D tier guys, Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta, got beat up by all the good guys. It was a good match. I was a little surprised because I figured FTR would earn the trios title match after dropping the tag team titles. I thought that might have made more sense, but whatever. Then we had Chris Jericho come into the ring, and the crowd was chanting Y2J. But like I've said before, I feel like Jericho he's getting a good crowd reaction, but it feels a little light. It just doesn't have the impact if he went back to WWE and had that last run. So he said he's done with the Demand and their BS. He called out Ricochet to come out by himself, but of course Ricochet did come out there only with the Demand by his side. And he said he's getting bored of Chris Jericho, and he wanted something if he was going to agree to one more match. And he suggested Jericho's own match, Stadium Stampede. And I was very surprised because Ricochet was getting good heat, but when he said Stadium Stampede, there was no reaction. I was actually kind of shocked because the Stadium Stampede matches are always great, and you would think the crowd would react to that, like, oh my God, we're getting a Stadium Stampede match, and nothing. No reaction whatsoever. And then Jericho accepted, said that he'll either find 4 partners or he will fight them all by himself if he has to. And he took his shot at Ricochet. He went for the Lion Salt, but the GOA guys got involved, and the numbers game caught up. But then the Hurt Syndicate showed up and made the save for Jericho. So it looks like Jericho has at least 2. I'm not sure if MVP is going to be in it, but Jericho at least has 2 guys on his side. I guess it's something significant for Jericho, the Stadium Stampede. It's always a fun match, pretty much a surefire, great spectacle. So they got that set for Double or Nothing. Should be a good one. Gives the Hurt Syndicate something to do. That's good.
Kroger always gives you more ways to save, like low prices in every aisle. Plus, you can clip and save more with digital coupons in the app and earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Discover more ways to save big. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Then we had Mina Shirakawa backstage giving a pep talk to Harley Cameron, ripping off her shirt in the process. So felt like a little bit of an Attitude Era like segment here. I know Oof in the chat enjoyed it. It was maybe the highlight of the show. Might have been. Then we had Okada, who I think is the international champion, versus Brian Keith. So Moxley is the Continental Champion, and they still make a big deal out of how the Continental title matches have no outside interference. That just annoys me because I think, shouldn't this be the case for every title match or even every match in the damn company? Like, when should you ever want cheating to be allowed? But in the Continental matches, no cheating allowed. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. The no cheating title. Like, why that title? I don't know. It just, I really have to check my brain at the door with that one. But anyways, Okada versus, let me check my notes here, Brian Keith. So is Brian Keith even eligible for D tier? If you had to put a tier list of every AEW wrestler, I mean, Brian Keith is probably borderline F tier if there is a thing. Like, he's really the bottom rung. I mean, I guess there are Ring of Honor guys, so maybe he's a D tier. But yeah, Okada probably should be an S tier, you know, considering his run in New Japan. But he's probably A tier. I would say Okada's A tier against the D tier Brian Keith. This match should have gone 90 seconds. Like, they did not need to have a 10-minute competitive match. Okada should have wiped the floor with this jabroni, especially with the post-match, because afterwards, Okada said he's looking to win the AEW World title. If this is the case, he should have just dog-walked Brian Keith in 90 seconds and make a statement saying, I'm going for the world title now. He did not need a 10-minute competitive match with Brian Keith, but this is where the best wrestle, so we must have wrestling for 10 minutes. It was an okay match, but I didn't care about it. Then we had a Kevin Knight backstage promo, and he said that Darby Allin's body is going to give out on him, and there will be a new world champion. We also had Samoa Joe backstage with the Ops, and we got Anthony Bowens in the group now for some reason. Talk about one man not fitting here. We had Joe talking about Ospreay. He's offering his hand out to Ospreay one more time. He thinks Ospreay can be a top guy with the help of the Ops. But if Ospreay doesn't accept, next time it will be Samoa Joe's fist reaching out to Will Ospreay. Ooh, scary. Then, right at 9:30, we had our women's match, because that's how AEW rolls. It's what they do. Women's match at 9:30. Harley Cameron and Mina Shirakawa against Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida. It was a solid match, back and forth. Statlander used Shida again. I think she did this last week. Suplexed Shida onto Mina, and then Mina and Shida traded shots. Harley tagged in, and she built up some momentum. They double-teamed Statlander, but then Shida came in, and then Shida hit Statlander with a knee by mistake, and Harley then delivered the backstabber to Shida. Statlander came back in, and then Shida was able to pin Harley with the Falcon Arrow. Pretty good match here. Not really sure where this is going. I guess maybe Shida and Statlander will go for the women's tag team titles at some point. Who knows? Backstage, we had Swerve Strickland talking about power, how he wants it all, and he wants to be the most dangerous, and he also wants to take out the most wanted. So that's why he's going after Bandito. Okay. He crumpled up the most wanted poster, And then Bandito issued a response and said that he's easy to find. And then Brody King said there'll be hell to pay if anybody messes with his friend. Sounds like Brody wants to lose to Swerve Strickland again. That's what I got out of this. We had our main event for the AEW World Championship. Darby Allin versus the Jet Kevin Knight. They had the feeling out process in the beginning, and they were very evenly matched in this one. Darby did a dive to the outside, sending Knight like almost head first into the desk. And then Knight came back, did a Hurricane Rana to Darby on the floor, and Knight placed Darby on the desk and then did a springboard clothesline, which got the holy shit chants from the fans. And then later on, they were in the ring. Darby targeted the injured knee. He applied the Scorpion Deathlock, but Knight got to the rope, and then he went for the coffin drop, but Knight got his knees up. However, Knight's knee was already hurting from earlier, and it just made it worse for him. He did manage to come back and deliver the coast-to-coast, followed by the UFO splash, but he delayed with the cover, and that gave Darby enough time to kick out. Darby then went after the arm again and then finished off Knight with not one but two coffin drops to retain his championship. A very good main event here. To me, this easily stole the show. Almost like last week, I feel like the main event was by far the best segment on the entire show. Another successful win for Darby. I will say, if this is a short title reign, it's been one of the better ones. They're just letting Darby go out there and have a successful title defense every week, and it's been really good. After the match was over, we got into Collision, and I will talk about this since to me it's just like an overrun. MJF showed up. First, Sting was out there and raised the hands of Kevin Knight and Darby, and then they shook hands, and then they left. Darby was alone in the ring. MJF appeared, said enough with the BS. He wants his rematch. Darby, though, once again said no, reminded MJF that MJF has to put something on the line. So MJF said his scarf. Darby said no. MJF said the Dynamite diamond ring. Darby said no. And then finally MJF said, well, what about $1 million? Darby said he grew up homeless under a bridge. His money's no good here. So then MJF wanted to know what Darby wanted. And I thought Darby's going to say career, or MJF can never challenge for the world title again. Instead, Darby wants MJF's hair. Hair. Okay. That I was not expecting. Not sure how I feel about that one. Like, I think the career would be a lot more interesting. Why hair? I guess because MJF would be embarrassed to be bald. MJF did not want to do this, and he stormed off. Then we had Okada coming out there and saying he wants a title match next week on Dynamite, and Darby said it's on. So that closed out Dynamite as it transitioned into Collision. And then we had a clip of Will Ospreay with the medical guy backstage, and an MRI is going to be done to see if Ospreay can be cleared. And Ospreay was asked, why is he training with the Death Riders? And Ospreay said that he appreciates their help, but he'll never be a Death Rider. However, he's going to do what he has to do to get better, and it's working for him. So that's why Ospreay's getting help from the Death Riders, because they actually know how to train people. So weird. Such a weird angle. And that was what I saw. And I started the live stream with the Collision match. We had Mike Bailey picking up a win over AR Fox. As soon as I saw AR Fox, I'm like, okay, time to do the stream. With all due respect to AR Fox, but yeah. AEW, Tony Khan, if you want me, and I know you don't give a damn, but if you want me to recap Collision, the third hour, you got to put your main event at the end. If Darby was at the end, I'd be recapping the 3-hour show. But you put the world title match on at the end of the second hour, I'm done after that. I'm not bothering with Collision. We had Jamie Hayter out there in a match, but it's just Collision. You got to make a bigger deal out of Collision if you want me to commit to it. So I'm just judging what I saw from Dynamite all the way up until the Ospreay segment backstage. I thought that without the Darby match, it was a little bit below average. It was a little bit under par, but Darby delivered with a really strong main event. So I'm going with a straight in the middle 5. Kind of a mid show. But I did enjoy the Darby match, and I think he's had a really solid world title run. And if it's a short one, I still think it's one of the better ones in AEW history. So credit to Darby Allin